A question I get asked quite often is, how did I become a reseller? How do you sell your own clothes online? Well, my friends, in today's video, I'm going to take you through my whole process of how I sell my own clothing online and also vintage items that I thrift to sell for a profit online. So whether you are thinking of becoming a reseller as a little side business or you just want to sell your own clothing, hopefully this video will show you exactly how you can do that, and you can go off and confidently start your own little adventure in the reselling realm of fashion. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this video, allow me to give you a brief overview of how and when I got started into this business, which is now a legitimate business for me. By legitimate, I mean that whatever I make selling clothing online, I declare as income to the Australian Tax Office. Okay, so it's a legitimate income stream. I don't make enough for this to be my full-time job, but it is a great little side hustle. But let's go right back to the start of my journey as a reseller. So it was 2008 when I created my account on eBay. eBay, I'm sure you're all aware, is a reseller's platform, and you can buy practically anything on eBay. It's worldwide, it's safe, and yes, of course, eBay get a cut in your profit. Any reseller's platform does, but what you get in return is worldwide traffic looking at your pieces of clothing or whatever it is that you're selling. So I created my eBay account in 2008. That was 16 years ago. I was a new mum, a new stay-at-home mum, and I wanted to contribute to the family income. It also gave me a sense of purpose and was stimulating my brain because I was at home every day. I just loved it. So I started out selling my own clothing at first. Before I became a mum, my shopping habits were completely different, and I had beautiful designer clothing. As we all know, once we become parents, priorities change, and so do your shopping habits. So I did have beautiful pieces to sell online. And then it kind of morphed into me going to the direct factory outlets and picking up designer pieces that were 70% off and selling those online. And even when my son started kindergarten and I went back to work in a casual capacity, I still continued with the selling online. Fast forward to 2017 when I started my YouTube channel. Although I was always a thrifter, before my channel, I would thrift every few weeks. But when I started my channel, especially the thrift content, I was thrifting every week, every second day even. I wasn't only thrifting for content, I was thrifting for my own personal wardrobe, and I was thrifting for reselling purposes. As I am a vintage lover, that is predominantly what I sell. It's vintage, then it's high street labels, but they need to be current, not dated pieces. If you're gonna sell high street pieces such as Zara, H&M, COS, etc., 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 make sure that they are current and not dated. And that's pretty much what I sell. Vintage, current high street, whatever designer pieces I may find when thrifting or from my personal wardrobe, that's about it. There are a plethora of reseller platforms. You've got eBay, Depop, Poshmark, Vestiaire, Etsy, to name a few. I resell on eBay and Depop. I eventually want to have my own website, but for now I am selling on eBay and Depop. It is a lot more work to sell on, more than one platform because, of course, it's double work, double listings. But you get such a different customer on eBay than you do on Depop, and your item has more chances of selling on two platforms rather than one. So right next to me is a rack filled with items that I'm going to sell. Recently, I did a wardrobe declutter. I've also thrifted some pieces, and this is a autumn winter collection of clothing. Make sure that the items you sell reflect the season you're in. Otherwise, they are not going to sell. When I first started out selling my clothing on eBay, I would photograph everything off a hanger. But now, since I started my YouTube channel, I photograph everything by modeling it myself. Your items have a better chance of selling if you model them yourself. However, there are some items that just don't look good in photos. They just don't photograph well. It could be because it's not the right fit on you, it's not the right sizing, the camera doesn't pick up the details, whatever it may be. In those cases, I will photograph on a hanger. But 99% of the time, you will see me modeling the clothing. Before you start taking your photos, make sure that the items you're going to sell are sorted out by category so that you minimize the amount of time that you're changing, because it can get quite tiresome. It's exhausting actually. So this is my third autumn winter drop. I do drops of collections as the weather gets colder. So at first I started with some light, longer sleeve pieces, and then the second drop was some lighter jackets and pants. Now I'm going into knits, a couple of blazers that are a little heavier, but not the wool blazers. I'm saving those for the next drop. And yeah, a couple of bottoms. So I make sure that I have my outerwear together, the bottoms together, the knitwear together. And just by doing that, it's going to make my workflow easier, quicker, and I'm not going to get overwhelmed and want to give up halfway through. So now it's time to take your photos. Make sure you shoot your pics in natural light. Not only will it make your photographs look crisp, but it's also going to depict the true color of the items that you're selling. I don't edit any of the photos. I use the raw footage because that is the item as its truest in real life form. So you don't need a fancy camera to take your photos. All you need is your phone. I also use a tripod. Now this is a little selfie stick tripod. It has a 360-degree rotation, which is great. So obviously all your photos are going to be taken in vertical mode. This one is great because it has a Bluetooth clicker which syncs up to your phone, and I can just click away as I'm taking photos. Your camera slips in the little cradle like that. So now we're ready to take our pics. Open the camera on your phone. Mine's an iPhone 14. Now I'm pretty sure all camera apps are the same. Make sure it's in selfie mode. So we just switch the little circular arrows on the bottom. Then I go into square mode. Depop is set out much like Instagram in a square grid. And so you want your photos to fit perfectly in the grid. So we go on the top here, there's a little arrow. Down the bottom, you should find a ratio button that says 4:3. We click on the 4:3 and it'll give you an option of 4:3, square, 16:9. I'm going to press square. And now I am going to make sure my little clicker is synced up to my phone. And it is. And we're ready to take our photos. You then position the tripod to the height you need it so that you're only taking a photo of whatever you're trying to sell. We don't want a whole head to toe outfit. If you don't have a tripod, don't worry, I got you covered. I'll show you what you can do. You will need a stool or a chair. In this case, I'm going to use this chair that I have in the studio. You will also need some kind of sturdy box and also something else for your phone to rest upon. If I'm going to use this box and then the tissue box, I'll position my camera there. You've got your little makeshift tripod. You're also going to need the timer on your camera. So again, you're going to go up to that little arrow which gives you all the options you need, and down the bottom you should see a little clock. You tap on that and it will say timer off, 3 seconds or 10 seconds. If you are a beginner, I would suggest 10 seconds because it's going to give you enough time to get into position to strike a pose, right? Before you take the photo, make sure that the framing is right. Then tap the shoot button and it'll count down 10 seconds and take your little selfie photo. And there we have it. The limit of photos is different on every platform. I usually do about 6 to 8. So you're going to need a front angle of view, you're going to need a side angle of view, and also a back. And then any close-ups. It may have a button cuff detail, it may have a very special kind of collar, or a vintage gold button, or some seam work or embellishments. Make sure that you photograph those details up close. Also, make sure that when you're taking the photographs, they're not stiff. So don't just take a photograph like this. You know, play with your hands, position them in a graceful way. Maybe you need to be just a little off center. Play with the skirt of a dress to show the volume and the silhouette. Try and model the piece so that it shows movement and it's not stiff. Make sure that there's at least one photograph of the item as is. For example, if I was taking a photo of a vintage tie neck blouse, I would normally tuck that into my bottoms, but I will make sure that there's at least one photo in the description of the blouse left untucked so they can see the length and they know exactly what they're buying. And when you are photographing black items, make sure that you choose a contrasting color, even a lighter color, because if you wear black on black, you're not going to be able to see the details of the item you're selling. Remember to take more pictures than you need because, you know, not all of them work out. If you're able to get 6 to 8 really great pics, that is the way to go. You don't have to do this, but I like to take a photo of the label on the garment and the fabric composition as well. It is many hours later, well maybe not many, but a few, 2 to 3 hours later. Listen, anybody who thinks reselling is easy, it's not. It is a lot of work and our work is not done yet. Okay, so now comes the listing part. So you've got all your photos on your phone. You can do your listing on Depop or eBay on your phone. It's quite easy. They are user-friendly apps, even for beginners. You choose the best photos. Don't include any photos that are not flattering. And if none of the pics are good, then you need to do it again. Yes, my friends, it has been many a time when I've reshot the same, piece. A bad photo is not going to sell your garment. The more informative you are, the more traction your listing and your storefront is going to get and also sell quickly. You don't want things online for months on end. If I have an item listed and it's not selling, I will drop the price or I will take it off and donate it back. You win some, you lose some. You may make more than you had anticipated on one item and the item that you did expect to sell didn't sell. And so it all kind of balances out. There's also an option to make an offer. Make sure you tick that option. That's how the price becomes negotiable for the buyer. Everybody loves a bargain. So it entices the customer to make an offer and to negotiate, and it kind of forms a little bit of an emotional tie to the piece. And more often than not, the item sells. In the description of my listing, I will always include the following: the label on the garment, where it's made, as in its country of origin, whether it's vintage or not, the fabric composition, the size, the color, any kind of special details on the piece. If something runs a little small and it's a size 10, make sure you write that in the description. This is labeled a size 10, however, item runs small and would best fit a size 8. Be precise when it comes to sizing so that the buyer knows exactly what they're buying and you don't have problems afterwards, okay? Because you will get that customer that will come back to you and will say, you said it was a size 10, but it's too tight on me. It's happened to me as a buyer. I never have luck on eBay, but as a seller, I do have a very good track record because I am informative. So be as descriptive as possible, because if you're not only are you going to limit the chances of your item selling, but you're going to get a ton of questions, which can be annoying when you've already spent so much time listing. And even sometimes when you are thorough in your description, you'll still get people that won't read it and will ask you questions. And some will even want measurements. And if you really want your items to sell, then you must answer all questions. Okay, perhaps not immediately, but as soon as you possibly can. This is your business. You have to be professional because you also get a rating as a seller. Customers can leave negative feedback. It's not a good look. You don't want negative feedback. Once you have listed all your items, and believe me, it takes a long time, my friends. Hours upon hours. It's the following day. I spent the whole evening listing the pieces. I've already sold 2 items, which are packed and ready to post off, which brings me to the final step of selling your clothing online. So now it's time to pack our orders. I buy tissue paper in bulk from Officeworks. I fold the garments and wrap the package as neatly as I possibly can. I am not the best wrapper, but I do my best. I attach a little thank you note and it's ready to be sent off. When it comes to postage, I use Australia Post, which is our postal service here in Australia. I actually have an account with Australia Post because it is a business. So I get the small and the medium satchels in a 10 pack. But if you do not have an account with Australia Post and you're just starting out on a smaller scale, there are prepaid satchels that come in small, medium and large. You receive a tracking number on the satchel, pack up your order, post it, and you're done. So if you've considered becoming a reseller or selling your own clothing online, then hopefully this video will get you started and on your way. And so I guess that is a wrap on this video. If you do have any further questions that I may have not addressed in this video, please leave them in the comments down below. I will get to them. I will answer every single comment. And so yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and I really hope I see you in my next one.